Day 7, Off the Beaten Track, and I'm Martin Meddy, and this episode was recorded in lovely Leitrim. For some of our listeners, they may not be familiar with this county in the northwest of Ireland, which is still considered to be part of the hidden Parklands. In terms of population, it's the smallest county. It has 35,000 people. And in terms of overall size, it's the 26th largest county, and it has some coastline. Even though it's part of the hidden heartlands, it actually does have some coastline right up in the northwest corner, right on the Atlantic. A whole 3 miles worth or 5 kilometers, depending on whether you speak American or European. And this episode we recorded in the main town, Carrick-on-Shannon, which is a town of some 5,000 people and a bustling and lovely place.
Thank you, Martin. To get the Leitrim story, we started at the top, the Leitrim County Council. They're dedicated to building an economically strong, creative, and inclusive county, making Leitrim the best place to live, to work, and to visit. And they showed us some very good evidence of their work in that direction. The council's chief executive, Joseph Gilhooly, could not have been more helpful, ensuring that we had an outstanding experience in Leitrim. But when we pulled out the microphones, he stepped aside and gave the floor to his able lieutenants, Director of Services David Minton and Tourism Officer Sinead McDermott. We're looking at some evidence of why Carrick-on-Shannon is the marina capital of Ireland, and we're here in the offices of the County Council, and we're with David Minton, Director of Services, and Sinead McDermott, the Tourism Officer. And we're going to talk about the business life and the tourism life here, and I know they're both connected, but welcome to Irish Stew.
Thank you very much, John. Really appreciate it, Martin. Great to be here.
What's that one impression that people have of Leitrim when you've talked to them after they've maybe been here for the first time and spent a few days here? What do you hear from visitors, either from a business perspective or a tourism perspective?
I'm sure Sinead has her own perspectives on it. As somebody who's relatively new to Leitrim, even though I'm very familiar with the county, I can give my insights both as someone who works here but has visited here many times. So my perspective on the county is probably framed by some of my kids who say Leitrim is the kind of place where you can float into it. Some people walk into it, some people drive into it. You can get the train here, but you can actually float into it. You can stop, you can slow down, and you can enjoy a little bit of authenticity. I think the real Ireland, I think Leitrim captures it, nearly like a kind of an island along the Shannon. And I think that's, for me, it's that authentic slowing down space, just like the Shannon. Like any good river has fast flowing spots, but for me, I think the Shannon just slows down here and Leitrim encapsulates that. And I think it's a good opportunity for anybody to come and just slow down.
Yeah, I think what David says, I agree. I think a lot of people are pleasantly surprised when they come. They don't know what to expect. And I think the unspoiled landscape, I said, is huge, especially to mention the Shannon or whatever. But definitely the slowing down and the pace of life, and then the friendliness of the people as well. I know everyone says that, but I think it really is here, and it's very authentic, and you very much get that through Irish experience.
Before we delve there, I'd like to ask David, in terms of people coming in from a business perspective, what do you think, particularly from a business point of view, would bring people into Leitrim? What's on offer here that's important?
It's all about perspective. Leitrim and Carrick-on-Shannon particularly, is that kind of access point to the northwest. As you move out of Leinster, as you move out of Dublin and you're moving up to northwest, Carrick-on-Shannon is the first large town that we have as you travel up towards Sligo, Donegal, up into the northern parts of the country. So for us, it's the gateway. We have huge accessibility here. We have the train lines that come from Dublin regularly throughout the day. We have Ireland West Airport, which is only 45 minutes away. You can fly internationally there across the UK and Europe. So we're really strategically located. We're on the N4 here, connectivity with the motorway. Hugely attractive. But I think from a business perspective, I think when you look around it, I would describe Leitrim as a county that's built on tradition, agriculture, forestry. But actually, I think one of the most unique statistics I've come across in Leitrim is that 90% of our businesses are between 1 and 10 employees. There's nearly 3,000 businesses across the county. We have a hugely entrepreneurial spirit within the county that's based on those traditional industries. And what we're starting to see now is the application of new technologies, intensive innovation in some of those areas. So we're starting to see little clusters of, we'll say, new sectors. So if you go up to Manorhamilton, for example, you've got a really vibrant kind of tech innovation sector up in Manorhamilton. You start flowing down towards Drumshanbo, you start to see a cluster of food companies. You got the Food Incubation Hub. You're going to experience the distillery out there, meet Pat Rigney. And so there's a real dynamic environment out there for those types of companies. And then you got the tourism offering all around the country, from Leitrim Village up to the north of the county, and in Carrick-on-Shannon, particularly, again, one of our primary assets in the town. But if we look from an employer's perspective, why would you locate here? In the Carrick campus, for example, we've got probably one of the strongest assets in the country that is retaining and helping companies like Avant Money grow. It's employing over 200 people down there. It's a financial technology company. Bank, it's been taken over by Bank Inter, a Spanish bank, and they're hoping to grow their European headquarters from Carrick-on-Shannon. There's a number of other small companies that are spinning out of there that have started in some of our incubation spaces. A really brilliant company called Payak. And Payak, again, is another fintech company that is looking at financial solutions within the credit union movement. Huge potential to grow internationally. It started off as a 2-person show, now has 20 people employed and is growing exponentially, all from the Carrick campus. So we have these assets that are property solutions that are attracting people in, multinationals. We have a number of other IDA clients in the town. But I think the big thing for me and the big potential for Leitrim is in that Indigenous enterprise, the entrepreneurial spirit that we have around the county. And we're trying to harness that. So we're looking at how we diversify, looking at how we move away from those traditional industries into new ones, new sectors. And so we have the financial technologies, we've got food, we've got construction innovation, we've got offshore renewable energy, medtech, engineering. And for a small county, it's punching way above its weight.
David, there's a business person from this area or a business person from another country looking for a place to start or grow a business. They knock on your door. What do they get when they come to the county council here?
Yeah, I think the beauty of coming to a place like Leitrim, as opposed to coming somewhere larger, you're 2 phone calls away from our great chief executive here, Joseph Gilhooly. So any problem can be solved. But I suppose what we do offer is a full life cycle service. So in the building here alone, you've got the local enterprise office. So whether your query is starting as a hairdresser or you think you have a product that's going to become the next HPSU in Ireland, the first place you come, we always say, is down to Joe Lowe and his team in the local enterprise office, knock on the door. And there's some brilliant examples there of people from Leitrim, young people coming into the county, getting advice on starting on their journey around entrepreneurship. And there's some brilliant examples. We have the Hive here in Leitrim, which is, again, an incubation space for somebody to go and test their ideas, test out their concepts, get mentorship, get advice, potentially secure some funding, either private investment or supports through the local enterprise office.
So why don't we switch our focus towards the tourism end of things? And Sinead, before we switched on the recorder, you told me about the mix of the tourists that come visiting Leitrim. And I found that surprising. You know, to tell us about that?
Yeah, as I was saying, I suppose our main, obviously, domestic visitor would probably be about just over 55%. And then our US audience would probably be after that. As I said, the US audience would have come here from researching their ancestry. I suppose back in the famine, a lot of people would have emigrated and now they can return for their roots. But now this year we've seen a lot more Americans just coming to visit Ireland and visit the Leitrim area. And that could be from recommendations from people who have Leitrim connection or just learning about Leitrim and wanting to go to destinations that are off their beaten track. We also have a very strong German market as well. And the German market like to get away from the city, the hustle and bustle of cities, and to connect with nature. Leitrim is very much on the whole slow tourism. And we are alongside with Derry in Northern Ireland, the designated area for slow adventure tourism. And that's all about slowing down that pace of life and getting that sense of place as well. And having these immersive experiences that you're not just sightseeing, but that you're actually experiencing what life is like. You're engaging with the communities and you're also taking back these memories with you. Things like craft making, basket making, or a canoe experience. And there was one lady in particular saying, normally I'm like canoeing, trying to keep up with everybody. But the slow adventure canoe experience is a lot different because there's a guide there and he's telling about the flora and the fauna and the storytelling. And you're then experiencing it at a slower pace. So you can actually take in where you are and you get that sense of place as well. That's really what we try to develop here in Leitrim.
Yeah, it's so interesting you said that because I was looking through this brochure, A Visitor's Guide to Leitrim, maybe a couple of years out of date. Joe Gilhooly had given it to me a couple of years ago and held on to it. And I was looking at the offerings and I just sketched down outdoor activities, but relaxed. So I saw things that I could actually do. I didn't see any rappelling down the side of cliffs, things like that. It's very manageable kinds of walks through nature. There's relaxed boating possibilities. Of course, there's golf, there's tennis, there's equestrian events, there's alpacas to hack around with. So it's a great mix and accessible to more than just the 20-somethings who are rock climbing up the sides of cliffs.
I was in Drumshanbo about 3 weeks ago. I met a German couple there, and the salient point that I heard from them was that it was the best holiday they'd ever been on, not necessarily from activities, but they spent so much time with their kids, and the kids were able to connect with the nature, all those walks. And because the itineraries were there, because the infrastructure was there, they had that moment to be able to stop. And I just thought that was a fabulous thing to hear, that we were able to provide that type of a product and a service. And it's interesting when you say that, actually. I was taken aback. Normally you expect families, they want activities, they want loads of it going and whatever else. I thought it was lovely to hear just had time with the kids, and that was it. It was lovely.
Part of what I'm fascinated about is the fact that the largest mix of your tourism is domestic Irish tourists. So that's a vote of confidence within the country that this is the place where Irish folk go to get away from things. And me personally, when I travel internationally, I'm delighted when I show up in a place where I'm not actually hearing American accents, British accents. I do like the feeling of authenticity. But just looking at the shape of the county, if I'm correct, you actually have some sea coast, am I correct?
We do, yes.
And it's a particularly pretty spot, I believe, of the county.
So.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's the smallest coastline of Ireland. It's 4 kilometres and it's on the Wide Atlantic Way, where we reckon it's the best part, the Wide Atlantic Way. Yeah.
As an avid surfer, I've been on to my boss, Joseph, to try and get an area office up in Tullen. Even though lunch breaks here, kayaking on the Shannon aren't too bad.
Yeah, we're looking out right now on the Shannon. We see the boats going by, and it's the marina capital of Ireland. What are some of the ways people do enjoy this great resource of the river? On the river, under the river, what can you do here?
In every way, it is quite utilised. You have the cruisers, and they're like boats that you can actually sleep on and navigate. And
you can rent them here, right?
You hire them out, yeah, and you can go upriver or downriver. They're from 2 berth right up to 8 berth, which is quite a large boat. You can have families on them. But also you have your kayaking, you have your angling is very strong in the county as well. Stand-up paddle boarding. So there's all different kind of activities on the water as well. But the actual cruising is a lovely way to see, because you can get to places that like a coach can't get to. And it's a fabulous community. Everybody helps each other. People who are private and people who are rented the boats all help each other and all kind of enhance each other's experience on the water. And you can sail up to different pubs and restaurants along the way. And yeah, it's, again, you're getting to meet the locals as well.
How competent a captain do you have to be to navigate that? What are the rules of this when you take on a boat like this? I'm not sure I'd trust myself.
You do get training.
Yes,
and
okay.
Believe me, if I can do it, anyone can do it. It's very straightforward and it has very markers that you keep within and that type of thing. But yeah, as I said, everybody helps everybody out in the water, but it's straightforward.
I've never been a huge boating person, and to realise actually you can hire a boat within an hour and you can trek along various different towns and villages all around Leitrim, stopping in for festivals. If there's anything you want to do on your bucket list, putting together an itinerary where you can connect up with various different villages and the towns all around Leitrim, like that's a fantastic opportunity. Trapped in a boat with your family, your kids might not want to come, but if you don't give them a choice, trapped in a boat, they can't sleep anywhere else but the boat. Guaranteed they will find fun.
You mentioned festivals. What kind of festivals might somebody come specially for here?
You're quite a range. You have from your walking festivals, but then we have a very unique traditional music here. And one of our biggest festivals is the Joe Mooney Summer School, which happens every July. And it's for all international people from all over. And they have a series of workshops, and then they have sessions on the street and the hairdressers everywhere. So that's a really big one.
What time of year is that?
Yeah, July, yeah. And then also we have family festivals, you have community festivals as well. We Carrick Carnival, which happens every June. We Cowboys and Heroes in Ballinamore, that's like country and western music. So kind of something for everybody.
And just going back to the boating scene again, where exactly do people, they sail down the Shannon, they sail up the Shannon? I think Loch Allen is just to the north of us, am I correct?
Yeah, they can sail down the Shannon, or they can actually sail up to the north of Ireland, up to Cairn in Enniskillen as well. And then, as you say, Loch Allen. So there's all different routes. They can even go over as far as Loch Key and Roscommon. So different, whatever route they wish to go to.
So do people have to get their passport checked when they end up in Enniskillen?
No, there's ways and means of getting by. But no, I think the product is very similar between the two counties, ourselves and Fermanagh. We work very closely together in different boating and angling and different walking festivals and everything. Yeah, and it's a very seamless transition from one jurisdiction to the next.
So we had the pleasure of hosting PJ Rigney on the podcast about a year or so ago. And of course, he's the gentleman that's made Drumshanbo gin, basically a world-class product. We find it all over in America. And we heard today that he's building connectivity with China at the moment. But what I'm curious about is that's clearly a world-class product produced in Leitrim. And that raises other thoughts of food and drink experience in Leitrim. Is there something unique that's available that tourists should look for?
Yeah, we have a great offering and we have a lot of award-winning restaurants. But one of the unique things is the whole idea of the slow food, and that's using local products and ingredients. And a lot of the restaurants will do that. And we'll also have a lot of food demonstrations as well. And we have areas, we had recently had a group there down on the estate in Drumhearney, and the chef came in and did a food demonstration, cooked for the group. And then we also have some supper clubs as well in people's homes. So there's quite a good few varied food offering. But as I said, yeah, very excellent fine dining. And then you've all different cuisines as well to suit different people's tastes and budgets as well.
We tried some Malaysian influence cooking today at my kitchen, and we will be exploring that a little bit further in another episode, but that was a fun change of pace. We've been here in Ireland for about a week almost. It's nice to have a very different, spicy, coconut curry kind of thing. It's really great. I'm sure that'll be an interesting story to explore. How about where people stay?
Yeah, again, we have something to suit all different tastes and different budgets. We're very fortunate to have our own castle accommodation in Lochgreen Castle in Mohill in County Leitrim. And it's a hotel that's actually expanding. And next year we'll have extra rooms and we'll also introduce the spa and leisure centre as well. I mentioned there Drumhearney, which are luxury cabins, which are located on a 60-acre woodland and very much off the beaten track, but beautiful. And then you have your traditional B&Bs, you have your self-catering accommodation, and then hotels from 3- and 4-star hotels. So you have a good selection of accommodation. And you even have your glamping, which is posh camping as we call it here. And again, a lot of our accommodation can be close to nature, or you can have the luxury of the castle accommodation either. So yeah, plenty on offer.
We're advocating for off-season travel, and we're finding a lot of upsides. Maybe the weather hasn't been completely sterling, but we've been able to walk right into places and talk to people because they're not barraged by too many of us tourists wandering around. How about off-seasons here in Leitrim?
Yeah, what we say is not just about the weather, it's about the clothes that you wear. So we try to extend the season as much as we can possible. As I said, angling is all year round for us. Our walking is all year round as well. And maybe our water sports there, we'll try to get to the end of October. Our cruising hire will probably finish up in October, but it'll start then in March. And that's just because of the water levels, more so than anything else. But yeah, look, there's plenty of heritage. There's attractions that are all weather as well. But there's something for everybody. As I said, for our slow adventure activities, they're both indoor and outdoor, and they can extend the season. So we're very much about seasonality and regionality as well.
And speaking of seasonality, I suppose one of the things that I think certainly American tourists are becoming more aware of, and I assume Irish tourists and European tourists are, south of Europe in the summer is now becoming increasingly unpleasant because of extremes of temperature related to global warming. You see a lot of reports of wildfires, you see a lot of reports of 40 centigrade temperatures, which is in American is 100 plus Fahrenheit. Do you see a shift toward what's been loosely called coolcations? Are you seeing any of that impact at this point?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of mainland Europe who traditionally would have gone to the likes of the Spanish resorts or southern Spain, Portugal during the July, August months are now actually reversing, and they're coming to Ireland for them months, and then when they would probably come to Ireland in the off season are swapping that over to the Spanish resorts. But definitely, yeah, we've seen actually a market that we wouldn't have predominantly had is the Indian market. So a lot of people will come and that's what they say. Oh my gosh, the rain. And they go, no, it's lovely, it's cooling. And yeah, it's a lot cooler and they feel it that they're able to do sightseeing at a more leisurely pace than if it was that intense heat. But yeah, funnily enough, Ireland has become a cool destination in more ways than one.
And with those words of wisdom, we will close this out with a big thank you to Sinead McDermott and to David Minton. So thank you both.
Thank you very much. Thanks a million. Enjoy your time in Leitrim.
Hey, it's Martin. After our conversation at the Leitrim County Council offices, John and I headed back to the Landmark Hotel, which was our stopping point for the night. There we met with Ciara Maxwell, the Landmark's sales and marketing manager. The evening was coming in, so it was time for a cocktail, and some of the finest of Drumshanbo's Shed Distillery was served. So with glass in hand, here's our conversation with Ciara Maxwell. Sipping the latest product from Drumshanbo Distillery, the Shed specifically, which is a laurel and fig flavoured gin. And I'm feeling quite happy, but I'm also delighted to be joined here by Ciara Maxwell, who is the sales and marketing manager of the Landmark Hotel here in Carrick-on-Shannon. We're sitting on a lovely room that looks out over the River Shannon. Welcome to the Irish Stew podcast, Ciara.
Thank you so much, and welcome to Leitrim.
Thank you. Thanks for the hospitality. Tell us about the great brand story at the Landmark.
So the Landmark Hotel is a family-run hotel by two brothers, John and Kieran Kelly, and it is open 26 years, almost 27 years now. So the two brothers grew up in a hotel in Mohill, Kelly's Hotel, that was run by their grandmother. And after that, John stayed and ran the family hotel while Kieran travelled the world. So Kieran has worked in some incredible establishments across Asia, Canada and America. And John rang him one day and said, hey, I'm after buying a plot of land in Carrick-on-Shannon. Do you fancy coming home and we'll open a hotel? So Kieran says, yeah, sure, why not? So he came back and they went to the county council. They said, we're going to put in planning for a hotel right in the banks of the Shannon. And the county manager at the time says, wow, that'll be a real landmark in the town. And they were like, hey, presto, there's our name.
Yeah.
So the Landmark Hotel, so we have huge ties to the River Shannon. There really wasn't much in Carrick-on-Shannon at the time when the hotel did open. And now it's just such a hopping, busy, amazing little town. You'll have seen a lot of ducks here in the hotel as well. It's almost like our mascot. So our bar is called the Mallard Bar after the ducks in the Shannon.
How did the visitors react when they come to the hotel and when they see this town?
They love it. They love it. I love Leitrim. When I first came here, I had just graduated out of university. I applied for a few jobs. I got a job in Leitrim and I said to my friends, I says, I'm moving to Leitrim. They said, where's that? I says, I haven't a clue, but I'll let you know when I get there. I'd never heard of Leitrim before. I wasn't even sure where it was on the map. And I says, I get a year's experience under my belt and I'll move on. And 15 years later, I'm still here because of the people. So Leitrim might have the smallest population, but it definitely has the biggest personality.
So that begs the obvious question, and I'm detecting in your voice Ulster accent. So where in Ulster do you originate from?
I'm from a small village called Sion Mills in County Tyrone. 2 hours door to door home, so I'm not too far away. My parents are still there.
So have you persuaded other folks from Tyrone to come down and visit you now over the years?
Absolutely. From people that didn't even know where Leitrim was, they all know now. They've all been here. They've all experienced Leitrim and everything that it has to offer.
Tell us about some of the visitors that come here to Leitrim and particularly to the hotel. Some of them must just roll off the boats here that are docked on the Shannon. Do you feel it changing the tourist vibe here in Leitrim in general?
Definitely. So I think what we have here in Leitrim is quite unique because it's very slow tourism. We don't have a big city here. In fact, we only got traffic lights a few years ago. So as you can imagine, it's a very slow pace. It's lots of fun, big into outdoors. So you can cruise, you can paddleboard, you can kayak, you can cycle, you can hike, and there's some incredible outdoor activities. The Glencar Waterfall, for example, you have Lockheath Forest Park, you have Carrick-on-Shannon Golf Club where you can golf over the Shannon. So it's this kind of nice slow pace of life. But at the weekend, we literally double in population, and this is such a bustling town for nightlife. We have some incredible shows, even here in the Landmark. We have a concert hall at the back. So we do about 4 big shows every month. Every weekend, Carrick-on-Shannon comes to life. We have some of the most amazing pubs, restaurants, award-winning restaurants, really good food. Even here in the Landmark, our Boardwalk restaurant is incredible. We do a lot of shows here as well. So that brings a lot of people to the area. Only on Saturday past, we had the Greatest 80s show. This weekend coming, we have an ABBA tribute, and we have an incredible rollout of entertainment every month. So as much as you can enjoy the kind of the slow pace and the outdoors activities, you can also have an incredible kind of party life as well.
So when those numbers double, where are they coming from? When you say they come in the weekend and the town doubles up in visitors.
So there is a lot from Ireland. We still have a big domestic reach from north and south. So there'll be a lot of Irish still come to Carrick-on-Shannon, but a huge amount still from America. We have a lot in the States. There's a lot of Leitrim people that have connections to the States. I think back during the famine times, the west of Ireland would have been the most deprived. So a lot of immigration went to the States. So everybody in Leitrim has a connection to the States. Only last week, we had a family reunion of Americans from Connecticut and LA who were coming here to connect with family and research their family tree. And next week, we have a very similar, just coincidentally, another family from New York, and they are all coming over to trace their family tree as well. A large portion of tourism will come from America still, and the UK. And then lots of bits of Europe, New Zealand, Australia, but definitely Ireland, UK, and America would be the biggest.
Do you get people coming off the boats? When we were in Athlone, we ran into some Germans who had just rented one of the river boats, river cruisers. Do the people come here and then they may not stay at the hotel, but they come in and enjoy the other aspects of it?
They definitely do. You can see just right across the road, there's just rows and rows of boats. So they definitely do. They pick it up here in Carrick-on-Shannon, and they'll usually enjoy Carrick-on-Shannon for a day before they leave. And they come back and they enjoy Carrick-on-Shannon again on their day back. So they can do short cruises, they can do a weekend, they can go as far as Lougheed and back, or they can go to Athlone, or they can go the whole way down to Limerick. So I've done it myself before. Amazing holiday. And talk about slowing down. You literally don't have a choice. The boat won't go any faster. And you just see the countryside from a completely different perspective. We went to Athlone and back. It was my dad's birthday. We hired a cruiser. I thought, this is horrendous. We're all as a family going to go on a cruiser. Someone's going to go overboard. This isn't going to end well. It turned out to be one of the most incredible family holidays. It was just so much fun. And we got back, we left the cruiser off, and a year later, my mum and dad bought a cruiser.
Whoa, that's a vote of confidence for that experience.
Exactly. So I'm spoilt now. Mum and dad have a cruiser which is moored in Enniskillen, so just an hour up the road. And once a year they make the trip from Enniskillen to Carrick on the cruiser. Yeah.
It's a great family reunion.
It is.
How about the surrounding areas? I don't want to spend all our trip talking about Drumshanbo, but we just came back from there. We got a glimpse at the Shed Distillery and the Jackalope restaurant. We're going back there tomorrow, but you have experience there. What kind of attraction is that for people coming into this area?
Drumshanbo Gunpowder Irish Gin literally put Leitrim on the map. It's an amazing premium product. It's known globally. It has the most incredible brand story. The Curious Journey of a Curious Mind, which you will be taking yourselves tomorrow. So you're in for a real treat. It has an amazing story, amazing ties back to Leitrim. So that is an amazing activity. It's open 12 months of the year, 7 days a week. So I know Ireland doesn't always have the best weather, so at least you have an indoor activity to do. But at that, there's no such thing as bad weather. There's only bad clothes.
That's the rumor. That's what people are telling us.
So you can choose anything. Like recently I went out to Glencar Waterfall. It was a lovely day, sun was shining. I was like, let's go on a road trip. We went to Glencar, and driving down to the waterfall, I see a sign on the left for an alpaca farm. Made a quick call. We got to hike up the side of the mountain with 5 alpacas, and it was amazing. And they love their selfies, and you can even hire them for a wedding. So you can even have these alpacas that come to your wedding. So even at that, you can go see the alpacas, go to Glencar. You can take a cruise on the Shannon. So if you're not brave enough to hire your own cruiser, you have Moon River. So you can take a wee trip on that. We're very close to Loughy Forest Park. There's camping out there. There's boat trips. There is zip lining. There is Bodeborg, which is almost like escape rooms. And there's great history. Only last month, we had the 53rd Hot Air Balloon Championships. The skies here last weekend were filled with balloons. It was amazing, yeah. Strokestown, a house in National Famine Museum, another amazing activity in the area with so much history, so much to see, so much to do. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. I'm trying to cover everything here. We're spoiled for choice.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've experienced on this off the beaten crack road trip is the actual plenitude of things to do along the way. When we originally conceived of this trip, I put a stake in the ground and said we need to go to the Midlands because, generally speaking, when you see various extended pieces done on tourism in Ireland, they don't really feature the Midlands. And Leitrim, I guess, is the most western, to some degree, of the Midlands itself, but you capture, I think, some of that warmth and authenticity that we have found all the way across our travels.
When Fáilte Ireland done their marketing activity and they named this area the Hidden Heartlands, it was just so great. I mean, it just hits it on the head. Like, that's exactly what this is. It's hidden, it's the heartlands of Ireland, and it's completely undiscovered. So, yeah.
And the heart in there has multiple meanings, all of them positive for positive associations. Carol, let me just ask you, I think in a way I may know the answer, but what is a day in the life of a sales and marketing lead for a hotel like this?
Hectic. The one thing that drew me to hospitality all those years ago was that no 2 days are ever the same. Every day is completely different. You have different customers, different events, different marketing, different visitors. Every day is different, and I suppose that's what I love. So a day in the life here is not just about the Landmark Hotel, but it's all about the surrounding area. I don't market just the Landmark Hotel, I market the destination. So through collaboration with all the different activity providers, restaurants, bars, everything in the area, we bring it together to market Leitrim and the Hidden Heartlands as a destination. And obviously everything that we have here in the Landmark to offer, from our food and beverage. We have an amazing restaurant, the Boardwalk. I think you are dining there later.
Yep.
Yeah, brilliant. So we have some amazing food and beverage offerings ourselves. And as I mentioned earlier, we have our concert hall at the back. So we do a lot of events there, and we're marketing everything together, but yeah, everything collaborative as a destination.
I think this really puts a great wrap on it. We love being here. It's a beautiful hotel. We're looking forward to checking out a little bit further. Martin and I only ran in this morning and left our bags and then took off to hook up with a few other folks here in town. So we look forward to exploring the hotel a little bit further. We look forward to sampling the dinner tonight, the breakfast tomorrow, and we really want to thank you for the warm welcome here. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much. And yes, the breakfast is actually really good. You'll enjoy that too.
Well, more great hospitality there in Leitrim. And I'm struck, Martin, by a comparison I'll make with the Sheraton Hotel in Athlone to the Landmark in Carrick-on-Shannon. The importance of having that sort of big city hotel in a small city, the range of offerings it has, the event spaces, the nightlife it brings into the community. I'm sure there's many, many rites of passages that happen at this hotel like happened at the Sheraton Athlone. So a great resource, beautifully located to also entertain the folks arriving on the Shannon and their river cruisers.
Yes, and a great place to sit back, relax, and imbibe. As you probably heard in the podcast, I was enjoying a little of Drumshanbo's latest fig and laurel version of their jam, which was delightful. And one of the takeaways in this podcast episode is the sense of place one gets from Leitrim and its authenticity. And there's a reason why the bulk of visitors to Leitrim are actually internal within Ireland, something like 55%. So if you want to get that really authentic Irish experience, there's no better place.
And we're not stopping here. We have some good episodes coming up from Leitrim. We are going to be talking to a Malaysian chef who has made it very big in the county. We're going to be exploring a woodland hideaway, which is a fantastic resort. And we'll also talk to a woman who operates an e-bike tour that leads down the Jackalope Trail to Drumshanbo, which you mentioned already, Martin, where the gin is distilled, which will be our final destination in our Off the Beaten Track tour. We want to thank particularly this time around Joseph Gilhooly and the entire Leitrim County Council for their services above and beyond the cause of Irish Stew. And we hope to talk to Joe at the end of this series to wrap things up for us. And we always are appreciative of our travel partner, Tourism Ireland, and our media partner, Irish Central. So for tourism information, go to Ireland.com. And for Irish worldwide information, go to irishcentral.com.
Until the next time, this has been the Irish Stew Podcast, and thank you for listening.
Irish Stew is produced by John Lee, Martin Nutty, and Bill Schultz. Editing, mixing, and mastering by Bill Schultz. Music on Irish Stew was composed and performed by Rosa Nutty, with Donald Bowens on drums, Cathal O'Riordan on bass and synthesizer. For more on Rosa Nutty's music, please visit rosanutty.com.